Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go there. I'm going to say that Andrew McCabe's prosecution is imminent. It is imminent, ladies and gentlemen. How do I know? Well, not only have I been saying he'll be the first one, and I've been saying that if anyone's going to get indicted before the election, it's going to be Andrew McCabe. I've been saying that he's going to get indicted for a long, long, long time. This is a Lawfare article, lawfareblog.com. They lean to the left. They're very good, but they lean to the left. And I disagree with some of this article, but thoughts on the impending prosecution of Andrew McCabe. Impending prosecution. Benjamin Witt. Okay, so I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. I confess that this story shocks me. The New York Times reported yesterday that federal prosecutors in Washington appear to be in the final stages of deciding whether to stick. So let me translate this paragraph for you. Such meetings, he's talking about the meetings between McCabe's defense attorneys and the Justice Department. Such meetings generally take place when the indictment is imminent. Yes, love the phrase, indictment is imminent. Should have been with Madam Secretary for top secret and special access program intelligence deliberately transferred outside of JWICs and other secure locations within the United States of America onto servers running on Microsoft Exchange software. They were unencrypted for around 5 months, outside of the United States government. But anyway, they happen when the government plans to bring charges. I'm going to read this to you again. This is from Lawfare. They have no reason to write this other than it's not like they want this to take place. They do not believe that Trump was set up and framed by Comey, Clapper, McCabe, Strzok, and Brennan by a Steele dossier that was purchased by Clinton and by a CrowdStrike assessment that was outsourced by Democrats and by a million other conflicts of interest, Alexander Downer being linked to the Clinton Foundation. My article below that Rush Limbaugh talked about for 2 days straight explains everything. Please read the article below in the pinned comment. Also, I have a very emotional H.A. Goodman's Other Channel segment. Check it out. It's about Eric Garner. And please check that out. Check that segment out. Very emotional. But let me translate this paragraph for you. Such meetings. So here you have the actual New York Times article. In 2 meetings last week, McCabe's lawyers met with the Deputy Attorney General Jeffrey A. Rosen, who is expected to be involved in the decision about whether to prosecute, and for more than an hour with the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jessica Liu. According to a person... Okay, so let me translate this paragraph for you. Now, by the way, when it's this type of thing, when it's court proceedings, or, if somebody saw somebody enter, the Treasury Department or whatever, that I can get behind sources. When it's, somebody saving the country because they're removing things from Trump's desk, as if, being the first president to step foot in North Korea to start a process of détente between North and South Korea, I don't want anyone to save us from that. I want peace between those countries. So that type of thing, there are sources and there are sources. Most of the sources out there, the New York Times, the Washington Post, are nonsense. They're just, I'm with her people that happen to be I'm still with her because she's running again. Yes, she is. Don't say she's not. She is. She's running again. It's going to happen. And it'll happen. It could happen in January, but it'll happen very likely about 3-4 weeks after the last debate, which is the end of September. But let me translate this paragraph for you. Why, ladies and gentlemen, are his defense attorneys meeting with people at the Justice Department? Such meetings generally take place when indictment is imminent. The indictments are imminent. They happen when the government plans to bring charges. You should thus expect charges against McCabe to be forthcoming any day. Hello. You should thus expect charges against McCabe to be forthcoming every day. The rotten, nauseating, corrupt edifice of the Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Strzok, McCabe world is going to come crashing down because guess who's going to flip and sing? Comey wants to, wants to be a witness against McCabe. Well, I didn't tell him to say anything. Oh, my goodness. to leak information. So McCabe leaked information to the media, to the Wall Street Journal, about a Clinton Foundation probe that was a probe in name only, just like the email probe. He did so for self-serving purposes because he had major conflicts of interest. His wife received hundreds of thousands of dollars from Terry McAuliffe, a Clinton money man and Virginia's Democratic governor. So to seem like he was neutral and impartial, and not an unbiased, which is the whole Debbie Wasserman Schultz shtick, which is why she resigned in disgrace because, she wasn't, and Bernie Sanders was cheated. Let me just read this here. Why is that shocking? Because as best I can tell, the facts available on public records simply don't support such charges. Really? He lied 3 times under oath. How is that? See, here we get to the lawfare. The only visible factor mitigating in favor of the Justice Department charging McCabe, in fact, is that the department has been on the receiving end of sustained campaign by President Trump demanding McCabe's scalp. What? Even if that were only true, that would be enough. He's the head of the executive branch. He was the Office of Professional Responsibility at the FBI fired McCabe for what they had an internal probe. Trump wasn't part of the Office of Professional Responsibility. And then we have, to be sure, Inspector General report prompted McCabe's firing paints a deeply troubling portrait of McCabe's conduct. Then it goes, the next paragraph is like, but criminal charges? It's like, yeah. Criminal charges for Papadopoulos for not remembering an email. Criminal charges for Flynn for not even, we don't even know what he lied about. Allegedly to Peter Strzok, who said, we will stop Trump. It describes in brief how McCabe authorized an October 2016 disclosure on background to the Wall Street Journal, then misrepresented his role in the story on several occasions. No, lied under oath. It's not misrepresented. This is a great blog, but Lawfare is a great blog. No, wrong. Lied under oath. And if you do that once, if you're Clapper and Brennan, you don't get charged with perjury. If you're McCabe, you get a Lawfare blog saying, what's the problem? What's the big deal? He shouldn't be charged. If it was Michael Flynn, oh my God, lying to an FBI agent, you have to trust the FBI agent. Why should we have ever trusted Peter Strzok, who said we will stop Trump and there's an insurance policy and Trump voters are smelly, all these things? He had his boot and foot, not just foot, boot on the scale of justice. Actually, what am I saying? There was no scale. They fabricated everything. But let's continue. I have no reason to believe the Inspector General's account of this episode and no interest in defending... No reason to disbelieve the account, no reason to defend McCabe's alleged conduct. While McCabe has disputed the findings, he has not, at least not yet, presented a plausible alternative narrative. Okay, so, but criminal charges? Yeah, he lied under oath. He lied under oath. He was fired. What do you want? The guy lied under oath about his conduct. It was obvious his wife was given hundreds of thousands of dollars from Terry McAuliffe. That's how the Clintons work. And then you say, well, you can't prove anything. Yeah, but they used a Steele dossier, and they spent $32 million in the Mueller probe. You couldn't prove anything with a dossier either. What if somebody had a dossier on McCabe or Clinton? No, nobody would believe it. But they would believe it against Trump. That's the two-tier justice system here. Trump was set up and framed. He happened to be the victim of all of this, even though people don't like his personality. But criminal charges, at least based on what's in... And by the way, the ODNI and DHS reports do not list any certainty such judgments might be wrong. High confidence in an assessment, such judgments might be wrong. They only have high confidence, that's it, not certainty. Criminal dispositions on false statements matter in internal investigation are exceptionally rare. Absent some gross aggravating factor, I struggle to think of any other examples. Criminal dispositions on false statement matters in internal investigations, excuse me? So because he lied to the FBI, that's okay. But if Papadopoulos and Flynn allegedly lied, that's not okay. Oh, that was part of a probe. Yeah, a probe started by a dossier that McCabe signed. Now we're going to find out from the Inspector General why he signed off on warrants that were unlawful to begin with, using a dossier and an Alexander Downer gossip. This guy is a criminal, and lying under oath regarding to cover up the fact that his wife received hundreds of thousands of dollars from Democrats when he should have recused himself from the Clinton email investigation. That's nothing here. That's not even the tip of the iceberg. There are countless public cases of gross misconduct and lies, and that misconducts are routinely declined as criminal matters. Okay. Here are a few examples called from Office Inspector General report. Yeah, that's wrong. You have all of these. They should have been prosecuted, because if it's that's the point. That's the point. You have a whole bunch of people who are running rampant in the U.S. government. You have a whole bunch of people who feel they can get away with anything simply because they're high up. Okay? Findings of misconduct by an FBI agent for receiving gifts from a former confident human source. There you go. Maybe the government would function properly if government officials were held to the same standards as United States citizens. So, it's unbelievable. Lawfare is a good blog. It's very good if you're on the left. Let's put it this way. It's left-leaning, and it is reputable, very reputable, and it's a good, But I have no clue. Their mindset is hilarious. If it's a trumped up, no pun intended, fabricated, bogus Mueller probe based on intelligence officials who are liars, lied under oath. Clapper and Brennan lied under oath even before all of this. And you have Peter Strzok saying we will stop Trump. You have a dossier purchased that's a bunch of nonsense. Nothing's verified in the dossier. The dossier makes specific allegations, not broad generalizations like, oh, the Russians interfered. There's no phrase, we're going to just interfere. The Steele dossier is a bunch of nonsense and fantasy, saying, oh, yeah, well, Russian intelligence officials were meeting up with Carter Page and all these things. None of that happened. Perhaps one might argue that McCabe is different, situated a high-ranking FBI official, but the reality is quite opposite. The prosecution of McCabe would indeed send a message, but it would send a very different message from the one even-handed application of the rules. What? Are you kidding me? Because, in fact, there are some substantial mitigating factors. What? For one thing, the events took place in a chaotic time. Oh, I'm sorry. For one thing, the events took place in a chaotic time at the Bureau when the FBI was handling politically. I can't use the word. It's investigations into both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. A chaotic time? Do you think an American citizen before a judge says, gosh, I was just going through a chaotic time? You think that Christian Saucier, who was ripped away from his wife and daughter, said, gosh, I was going through a chaotic time. That's why nobody saw any of these photos. They were ripped up in a garbage can, but 1 year. And that it would have been more had President Trump not commuted his sentence or pardoned him. I mean, what is this chaotic time nonsense? Even if one doesn't believe McCabe contends that he was merely confused when he made false statements, he was confused. Of course he was confused, but you can't allow Papadopoulos or Flynn to be confused. Even though they set Flynn up, Flynn should be pardoned tomorrow. Tomorrow. He was the national security advisor. The Washington Post and New York Times already reported that they had tapped his phone. They had already listened in on the conversations with Kislyak. There was no wrongdoing, no illegal behavior, no nothing. They still set him up. So give me a break. There was never any Russian collusion. All you hear is that she won the popular vote. So which one is it? The Russians interfered and gave Clinton the popular vote? Which one is it? We have no clue which Facebook ad swung people. No, Facebook ads never swung people. This is an intelligence/media, let's save face and convince enough people that everything was just above board. Then you get the average American who believes this saying, yeah, you know what? What, the intelligence community would make this up? Yes! Ask if the Gulf of Tonkin happened, or every other thing that they said took place the past 30 years to get us into quagmires. But anyway, there's another problem with prosecuting. Justice Department policy dictates that prosecutors should bring a case only if they believe not only that the person is guilty of an offense, but that, quote, the admissible evidence will probably be sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction. Guess who's going to testify against McCabe, sir? James Comey. Yeah, how you like me now? James Comey on CNN with Jake Tapper. He's like, yeah, I could be called to testify. So there you go. He never told McCabe to leak. He did so on his own volition. You don't have to look far for that. Trump has been a long-term, very public campaign attack. It hasn't been subtle. So what? Here. Okay, so what? So what? You can't. There's a public and sustained attack against Trump. It's called the media. New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC. How many positive stories are run on CNN on Trump? How about like pretty much zero? I find it hard to imagine the probability. Page's likely testimony, the mitigating factors. There are no mitigating factors. Comey is literally willing to testify against McCabe. To prosecute a case under these circumstances, in fact, seems so bizarre. Oh, okay, but you didn't want to. But the zeitgeist prosecuting Michael Flynn, that was okay, and Papadopoulos and surveilling Carter Page under the zeitgeist of the Russians, hacking the DNC to inform the country that Bernie Sanders was cheated, while at the same time not infiltrating or hacking Clinton's server with special access program intelligence. Yeah, right. I've watched Justice Department for a long time. Okay. I fear this is all precisely what's happening, down to pesky U.S. assistant attorneys who've go and find law firm suddenly active. Okay, so I just never imagined that the target of harassment by the Justice would be the FBI brass itself. That's a good thing. The FBI, they're great people, the FBI. What is this? If the FBI brass said that Clinton should be indicted, you very likely would not have been so charitable. This is an issue, ladies and gentlemen. And then Benjamin Winston, the editor of Lawfare and senior fellow of governance studies at Brookings Institution. He's the author of several books. Great. Has he read the Steele dossier? Does he know the Steele dossier was purchased by Clinton? Of course he does. But see, the thing is, the mental gymnastics is, if Trump purchased a dossier through a law firm to get FBI officials to investigate Clinton, oh my God, the world would end. The world would end. The world would end. But if it's Trump with bodily fluids, of course it's Trump. There's no problem. A dossier? Really? I'm surprised it was even a dossier. Give me a cocktail napkin and, maybe just a discarded, like somebody used it to clean their nose and something that Trump did this. Well, we're going to use this. Give me your thoughts below. Indictments are imminent, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do this. William Barr, save this country. Okay? This isn't somebody who, a kid who's shoplifting, okay? This isn't like mercy and compassion the left does not have for anyone that they dislike. Where's the mercy and compassion for Michael Flynn? Where's the mercy and compassion? The only thing that they were charged with was lying to FBI agents, and we have to read the 302s. We have no clue if they lied under oath. McCabe lied under oath because of a conflict of interest he had. He was an FBI director that signed off on FISA warrants. That we know now that the Steele dossier was complete and utter nonsense. They utilized this country against a political candidate because they didn't like the outcome of an election. You cannot function as a nation. You cannot function as a country with that. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now.